Smells good in here.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Nice to see.
Bring that, a roller tape, and a couple of streamers from the streamers.
So there's a couple of your, hey, there's Psychic Frank, and there's some people that, a lady that called last week to our show. She recognized me, and she's sitting over there somewhere.
Okay, tell them they put this place up, they put this little shield up there for me so I can do readings behind there, Greg said.
Yay!
And next month, Charlotte's going to have a table for me. But
You're going to have your own table at the dinner?
Yes, to do my readings on it, do my healings.
Hey, that's a great idea.
But I'll be behind there now. I'll be behind there.
Well, the room filled up very fast.
Like I said, you guys, nobody.
Just welcome everybody here. This is our second St. Patty's Day feast, so we're doing good. We're doing good. So I wanted to bring up something that we're going to do before we get into the dinner itself. And I'm sure everybody knows that the medical cannabis community, the safe access community, is in a situation of crisis. Everybody's aware of that, right? Yeah. Okay. You know, not everybody knows everything, so I certainly don't know everything, so I'm just trying to make sure we're all on the same page. And there's a couple of things on the table that I want everybody to pay very close attention to. And folks who have pens at your table, please share them with other folks. We are waiting for a pack of pens to come back to us. So everybody knows that we have a medical cannabis task force in the city of San Francisco, correct? Yeah. And folks are pretty aware that I'm a patient advocacy seat and that I chair the patient advocacy committee, correct? Yeah. Okay, so we have created a subcommittee, which is the subcommittee for emergency safe access. And yes, that's something to clap about. Thank you. And when I sit as a patient advocate on the Medical Cannabis Task Force, I'm not sitting there for access of love. I'm sitting there for every patient in this city, and a whole bunch of people. Come next week, Tuesday, we have another 4 to 5 closures happening, and that's a lot of patients who may not have the same connections that you have and the person seated next to you. They may not know anyone who cultivates cannabis. They may not know, you know, they may just be able to get up and go to their dispensary, and now they're going to be cut out of services and of needed medicine. So we decided that we would create the subcommittee of the Patient Advocacy Committee, and it's composed of wonderful folks. We've got Mike Goldman, who's all the way over there by the door.
Yay!
Many thanks. We've got Chef Jade, who's right over here by the outlet. We've got Ken Lima. I'm not sure if Ken Lima's here tonight, but his cousin Denise is. And myself and Christina Jage is the chair of the committee, and hopefully she'll be joining us tonight from Waterfall Wellness. And we created a postcard, and a lot of folks are focused on local solutions. Okay. A lot of folks are focused on petitioning our board of supervisors. Well, you know what? Is this a local issue? No. This is a congressional and a federal issue. Who's our federal representative?
Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. So that's who this card's going to, and I'm just going to read it so that everybody knows what they're signing on to. And then hopefully we'll get the pens circulating so that everybody can fill one out. So if you've got a pen at your table, I know it's like letting go of a lighter. You don't know if it'll come back to you. I'm asking everybody to be good to each other. So The first thing is I, and then you print your name, and then it states, would like to thank Nancy Pelosi for her long-standing commitment to patients' rights and support for the use of medical cannabis in California. In keeping with that commitment, I urge you to speak with President Obama about the unwarranted persecution of medical cannabis patients in our sanctuary city of San Francisco and statewide. In an effort to mitigate and hopefully end this persecution, I ask that you devote resources towards investigating the unconstitutionality, which is such a word, of the California dispensary closures as set forth in the recent hearings, James versus United States. Additionally, I ask that you support facilitation of emergency safe access to medical cannabis for the catastrophically ill patients in the event of closure of all permitted facilities in San Francisco. It says thank you for your support and efforts on our behalf. You sign your name, you date it. And then there's also a space where if you'd like to write something additional, like I'm a disabled veteran, I'm a cancer survivor, I'm living with HIV, whatever you feel would be the most important thing to say to your congressional representative. And I want to emphasize the fact, and something different about this subcommittee's campaign than other campaigns that are going on in this city. And you know what that is? This little sentence right here. I ask that you support city facilitation of emergency safe access to medical cannabis for catastrophically ill patients. In other words, we're demanding that our city start to work with us so that everybody gets their medicine regardless of what's going on with the closures. We're trying to work with the board president, David Chu. We're trying to work with David Campos and Christina Olagi to make sure that if all the retail facilities are closed, that the catastrophically ill patients will have some method of receiving their medication. Because I can tell you something very clearly, and there's an argument about this with policy heads, but I think patient advocates understand this without a doubt, and that is that there are people who use medical cannabis, and then there are people who have a medical necessity, who cannot take their other medications if they don't have their medical cannabis. In other words, some folks that we know, that we love, it's not just a pleasurable therapeutic experience. It saves their life every damn day, right? So the difference of this campaign is that these patient advocates that have gathered together in a subcommittee are not only pushing forward that we don't close the collectives, but that in the case of an emergency, we make sure that nobody is unable to eat and ends up perishing because they don't have medical cannabis. So that's one of the main reasons I'm urging you to please sign and fill this out. We will have people coming and picking these up at each table. The other thing that I want to make everybody aware of, how many people saw the SF examiners today, this morning?
Gascon.
That's a bunch of you-know-what, isn't it?
Yeah. Recall.
So I actually completely agree with James from the patient union on a recall effort. I'm not sure who's going to start it, but I suggest somebody
Recall,
does.
definitely.
And what happened is our district attorney, who used to be our police chief,
The conflict of
stated
interest.
that all sales are illegal. That means every single dispensary on the map, anybody who compensates their providers and is able to, would be at risk. And it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Is this noticed by the cities or just the federal?
That is our city district attorney saying all sales are illegal. So Chris Roberts' article was actually a better article than some of the ones he's written recently. And the one thing he missed is that we're a sanctuary city, and that's not just because we love cannabis. That's an actual law and an ordinance. And so we just had our district attorney ignore
Our laws.
the law. That makes no sense. Does that make any sense? The district attorney just ignored the law.
Recall.
That makes no sense.
Recall.
So, yeah, and I agree with Denise. Recall. Yes?
If you read it right, what he said was people who are ill, who really need cannabis, are not getting it, and it's not fair. That's what he said. That was good.
Well, you know, but that's also to code the ability to close the more commercial collectives.
He says we have to grow it ourselves now.
A lot of people who are getting cannabis ain't supposed to have it, and that's why they're upset.
But you know what? Everybody should have access. I don't believe there, unless you're a minor, everybody needs access to medical cannabis or to cannabis in general. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get up here and say that an herb that grows out of the ground is only specifically for people with AIDS or people with a seizure disorder like myself. That's like, it doesn't make much sense to me. So I just want to make sure that everybody got a pen and that we're able to fill out these postcards, because tonight is the night we're launching this campaign. You are the first people to sign these postcards. And you're going to be the people to help us move this a little bit forward. So before you leave tonight, we're going to hand you another postcard. And all we're asking you to do is have one more of your friends that aren't here tonight fill it out, and then bring it back to either the center at 1260 Mission, or you can probably turn it into any local dispensary. And if your local dispensary isn't on the campaign yet, then you need to say, hey, you need to go and get a bunch of these postcards, right? All right. We have a few awards that we're going to do tonight. We have a wonderful dinner of just excellent proportions here. And I want to, first of all, before we serve the dinner, I would like a big round of applause for the people that have been working, volunteering for 2 days straight to make this happen for us all. Especially, I want to give a big thank you to Paul Spicer, to Stacia Scott, to Cora Glenn.
This is very overwhelming for me. I'm lost.
Okay.
So we just got a big stack.
I wanted to talk to you because you mentioned things.